Hello and welcome to the special free training that I have prepared for you. So honored that you've actually chosen to check this video out and this training. I sincerely hope that you will get quite a lot out of this, and I hope that you stick around till the end of the presentation, because there'll be something very, very special coming up. Now, I've called these the 3 secrets about how to build a successful and profitable online business that they don't want you to know, which is all about doing what you want to do, what you love to do, what your passion is, when you want to do it, and be paid what you are actually worth. Okay? Now, I'm David Burgos. I'm the founder and CEO of the Freedompreneur Project. And at the Freedompreneur Project, we help and work with freedompreneurs, that is, people who are actually seeking to set themselves free from the shackles of their jobs and their lifestyles and so on, and transform themselves in a way that leverages all of the things that they have that they've actually learned out in industry, out in jobs for many long years, and actually for once be able to action on what they're passionate about. Now, that sounds easier than it seems, and what I'm about to show you are the 3 things that actually hold back most would-be entrepreneurs from actually achieving. Okay, so without much further ado, let's get into it and find out what these 3 things then are. So the first thing to note here is, who am I aiming this for? Who is this actually for? Well, really, it is for you if you're actually serious about building this online business. And also, it is for the people who have ever wondered things like, if I could just figure out how to build a successful and profitable online business doing what I love, then this might just be the thing that you're looking for. Now, here's why. Have you actually ever said any of these things? Have you actually wondered out loud things like, well, look, I don't know where to start. It's just too confusing. And we're talking about an online business, right? So we're talking about the internet. We're talking about all the technologies. We're talking about all of these things which keep on changing and may get in the way. So that's one question you may be asking. The next one would be, look, even if I knew where to start, I'm afraid that I'm just going to blow money. It's going to cost too much. And I don't actually want to risk my hard-earned savings. Now, you might be like me, somebody that has been working hard for a very long time and has built a bit of a nest egg and so on and so forth. Now, you're coming to a point in time where you now want to focus on doing what you love to do, but you don't want to risk your life savings, right? You don't want to put everything that you've worked so hard for on the line on a business venture that may not actually work out. So that's another area that people are scared and afraid of. The other question that people ask and that bothers people, particularly I would say the older entrepreneurs, is that it's a technology. Now, this is not necessarily just the older entrepreneurs, but virtually everyone, because you're inundated with technology that just keeps on changing at a tremendous pace, and you've no hope of actually catching up, let alone getting on top of all of the things that you would need to do. So, today, I'd like to provide you with some actionable answers, right? And doing so, I'm hoping to be able to save you thousands of dollars, so that you can ensure that you're focusing on the right things at the right time. Now, it's no exaggeration to say that if you have actually been on this journey for any time, you would know that it's way too easy to spend money on the things that promise, quick solutions, that promise, push button sort of technology and so on and so forth, only to find out that these things don't actually work, or they're very limited. So let's explore what it is that we could do about these 3 things that are confusing us. Okay, so in terms of who this is for, let me give you a fair warning, I think. Definitely not for you if you are somebody looking for a quick fix. If you are, then obviously there's other things that you could be doing or watching. My fair advice to you, I suppose, would be that I don't believe that there is such a thing, but obviously you're free to choose. If you are actually looking for instant profits, I'm hoping that by now you would know that there is no such thing unless you win the lottery, and the odds of that are pretty small. Clearly, this is not for you if you're somebody who is lazy and not serious about building an actual business. But if you're actually watching this, then that's not you. If you're not open to new ideas, clearly we need to be able to come into a situation and explore what's new and assess whether or not that's actually something for us. Okay, obviously if you are here and you want to learn how you could combine strategic planning with what I'm offering, which is this unique passion freedom centered approach that would enable you to finally make money, then I respectfully invite you to join me and stay with me until the end of the webinar. Fair deal? Okay, hoping that you've said yes and that you're still here. What are you actually going to learn in this training? Well, you're going to learn where you would start if you actually wanted to create a profitable online business and you wanted to ensure that the business reflects your passion. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, what is the real cost of creating an online business? Okay, what are we talking about? A couple of $100, $10, a couple of thousand, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands? What exactly are we talking about? What is realistic? Okay? And the next thing is how to stop worrying about the technology and focus on what you love to do. Now, if you look at these three things, you'll find that there's been plenty of research done around the place that has actually identified this as some of the top three concerns that would be and startup type entrepreneurs would have. So that's the reason why I'm providing some answers to that. Okay, so why would this be important for us to know, right? Well, if you want to learn to figure out how to build a successful, profitable business online doing what you love, this is why this would be important. If you actually want to experience what it would be like to, let's just say, waking up each morning, you don't have to worry about the traffic, you don't have to worry about the boss, you don't have to worry about the office politics, you leave all that behind. So would you like to be able to lay back and do what you love to do whenever you decide to do? Okay? That's what we're on about at the Freedompreneur Project. So let's just start looking at the first thing here then. Where would we start if we wanted to create an online business? You know, what's the first step we need to take? Well, interestingly enough, of course, this is where most people fail. And they fail because they drown in what I call the oceans of information that are out there. There is nothing but information. I don't claim to have invented the wheel, right? You can go to Google, you can Google everything and anything that I might actually say to you. But the fact of the matter is that all of that information is pretty much useless unless you actually know how to put it together into some kind of roadmap and go forward with it with some sort of plan. And also, the other aspect of this is if you do go to Google and you'll find nothing but information about what you might be able to do with Facebook or Twitter or YouTube and this, tactic, that tactic, and so on and so forth. And God help you if you actually sign up for a newsletter or something from some guru, because you will be inundated with offers from them every other day, offering you, the sky. So you're drowning in information. I know I was. No clear direction. Okay. Now, it is really critical that you learn where you need to start first, obviously. The process for creating this online business, and this is where we start, okay? Now, I'm saying you really only need 2 critical components. But you might say to me, hang on, surely there's got to be way more to do this than just 2 critical components. And of course, there is. But at this point in time, and this is the real secret, you've got to understand and focus on these 2 components only. If you want to know where to start, if you want to create an online business, these are the 2 things you've got to focus on. All right. So here they are, and that you must follow to be able to succeed. So what's component number 1? You've got to discover what makes you tick. This is your passion, right? What makes your passion a profitable business, right? Whatever it is, whether it is you enjoy making things, whether you enjoy talking about things, whether you enjoy reading about things, whether you enjoy dealing with people, not dealing with people, and so on and so forth. What is your passion? All right? Now, let's dive into it and find out what exactly this component actually means. Okay. I am saying to you, and I'm introducing this concept called Ikigai. Now, Ikigai is some ancient Japanese concept. But basically what it means is that Ikigai is the reason you wake up each morning. It's the thing that is at the center for your being, right? Right at the center. Now, in the ancient Japanese concept, they say that everyone has a unique Ikigai, you. What I'm saying is that this unique thing, this unique Ikigai, this unique reason for being is your passion. Let that sink in for a second. That is your passion. And you got to find out what it is. Okay? Now, there is a process for doing these things. And the process is this. So, you need to answer these 4 questions. Do you love it? This passion of yours. You actually love it. Does the world need it? Can you be paid for it? Are you any good at it? Now, at the center of these 4 areas, where it all meets, is what we call the Ikigai. Okay? And there is a process for finding out if you answer these questions in turn, and you'll find the thing in the middle, and that is your passion. That's where your passion is, right? Now, the next thing you would have to do is map the answers to these 4 things to a roadmap or a strategy that will be the rock foundation of everything that you do. All right, let's go back over that again, because that's really important. Once you have answers to each of these questions, right, you'll find out what your passion is. So, an answer to the question of, do you love it? And as in, is it really something that you don't think of as work, right? Something that you would do even if you weren't paid for it. Does the world need it? Good question. There probably are other people in your life that know what you do, know what you're passionate about, and you'll probably find that just as you are, there will be others. The world is a big place. Can you be paid for it? This is a question of research, right? It's a question of finding out whether or not something similar to what you do is already being offered. That's actually a good thing, because if it is already being offered, it means there is a market for it. After all, we're talking about an online business. Are you good at it? Now, you may or may not be, but you're passionate about it, which means you can get better. Okay? So this is the critical component about where you would start if you want to create this online business that reflects your passion. Component number 2 is once you have found the answers to the Ikigai, the 4 areas, you then need to go and create 5 plans. Let's go and see what they are and what does it actually mean. Okay, so you start off with a thing called the strategy plan. Now, what is the strategy plan? Well, basically your vision and mission. If you already know what it is that you're passionate about, then you ought to be able to articulate what your vision is and your mission in life is, helping others, bringing joy to the world, whatever it may be, through your product or your service. And your vision may be, in the next 12 months, I'm going to do X, and in the next 24 months, I'm going to do Y, and in the next 5 years, I'm going to create a legacy, whatever it may be, right? But basically, at this very high level, because we're talking about a strategy plan here, you're talking about how to put together some sort of budget, a time frame, look at the risks, look at the opportunities, and so on, so you can position your passion in terms of a business. Okay? That's what the strategy plan is about. The next one is obviously an execution of that plan in terms of actually turning it into actionable steps. And that's called a tactical plan. Now, a tactical plan will actually be, a set of actual milestones, the things that you're going to achieve over the next, and this is critical to give yourself this sort of time frames, the short, the medium, the long term. So I'm talking about 3, 6, 12, 24 plus months. You have got to have that. Otherwise, you're not going to go forward. Remember, we are trying to be the 1% that actually succeeds in building an online business that is a reflection of your passion, as opposed to those who will spend the next 2, 3, 5 years, lost in a sea of information without knowing what to do. Okay? So this is basically, this tactical plan is a schedule, right? You'll actually name what you're going to be doing and what's going to be built, if you like, over the next, you notice that 3 and 6 months are short term. This is when you're in build mode, right? Whereas 12, 24 months is when you are consolidating what you have and you're executing what you have already articulated up here, which is your vision and your mission. Okay? So the next plan, remember there are 5, right, is what I call the detailed plans. And what might they be? Okay? So an online business is going to have many, many different, what I call dimensions, right? So you're going to have a technical dimension as to, building websites and so on and so forth. It's going to have a sales and marketing dimension, product development if you are developing your new product, or procurement if you're actually purchasing something, fulfillment, how do you actually going to get this out to your to those that you are going to serve via your business, resources if you need them, budgets and so on. You need a distinct plan for each of these. Right? The 4th plan is, again, taken logically from the detailed plans at the level of what I'm calling the tools plan. Now, this plan is all about what tools are you going to need. It identifies what tools you need, but it also a plan for obtaining these or for outsourcing. Now, keep this in mind. This is a critical thing. Outsourcing. We'll come back to that in a minute because it is very important. But really, in this, articulating the tools plan allows you to understand the things that you need, as well as knowing what you don't need, and allows you to schedule and plan for how you're actually going to get these. Okay? The 5th plan is what I call the perpetual plan. Now, perpetual means forever. And basically, this is some sort of checklist that you would run every 24 months or so to see how your business is ticking along, right? Because this is really, remember, if you go right back to this strategy plan, you have already described what you see your business achieving over a time frame, but also what the business mission is. What is it that you're going to give to the world? Remember, we're talking about your passion here. Okay? So, you need to know what these 5 steps are, and you need to follow these steps sequentially. They are very logical. Right? You start at the very top and you build down to the specifics. Okay? At this stage of the game, we are planning. But remember, we're trying to answer the question of where you would start if you actually wanted to create an online business. Okay, so what would it cost then to create this online business? Well, there are a number of things. You need to know the real cost of creating, because if you do, you'll be able to budget for it. You'll be able to sort of see how much capital do you need, and you'd stop worrying about risking your savings. Remember that this is one of great concerns. Now, if you know, then you can set a realistic budget. You can control that. You can scale it up or down whenever you're ready to do so. And also, it is important and essential to know what it's not, right? So in terms of creating an online business, it's not going to require a tremendous budget. You're not talking tens of thousands, hundreds, or even, 500,000. But costs of around, say, 100K or more are very common for non-online businesses. Franchises can make it a bit easier, but you're still talking about tens of thousands of dollars behind. Now, in a lot of cases, you still need at least 12 months before you can start making a profit with a traditional business. So what I'm saying here is that if you're looking at a traditional business, you would have to be prepared for an enormous amount of costs across all different things that you're going to need to do. Now, there are still things you need to do to create an online business, but the costs would be fractional by comparison. Okay? So let's go back to this again. Now, as a guideline, I'm saying you're going to need to budget realistically in the vicinity of $4,000 to $7,000 if you're actually serious about creating your online business. Now, just a word here. When I say 4,000 to 7,000, A, it's not a fixed amount. B, it's not an amount of money that you've got to have right up front. And C, it's scalable. It depends on a number of factors. Now, some of the major factors here would be, for instance, if you actually had to buy stock. Now, that's going to have an impact on that number as well. So this is indicative. But keep in mind one thing. If you actually don't have a strategy, which is what we covered off in, how to go about creating a business in the first place, you would end up spending 10 times as much. And that's probably an underestimate, right? You're going to spend a lot more. But, if you look at what it costs to set up any business, right, for a brick and mortar business type, right? So you're going to need all of these things at the very least and more. So that can easily run into hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're looking for, a physical store, rental, putting it up and buying a franchise or whatever else. Even though franchise fees, there may be very cheap franchises, but very cheap, it still means tens of thousands of dollars. Now, as I said, they're cheaper options. However, for most of these, they have very high upfront costs, and it will take a long time before you can be in profit, or at least some time before you can actually be in profit. And that's at least 12 to 24 months. And I think that's very, very realistic. So what are then your minimum setup and operating costs over the first 12 months? And a note here that obviously if you are adding a physical product, for instance, you're going to have related costs depending on what it is. I mean, whether you actually manufacture this or whether you on-sell from somewhere else or, procure that from somewhere, there will be other costs associated with that. But as a guideline, let's have a look at, this sort of minimal components. And this is a 12-month budget, don't forget. You're obviously going to need a domain name, registration, hosting, and so on. Put in a conservative figure there of about $500. You're going to have to build your website. Now, including whatever kinds of customized funnels or e-commerce variations or thereabouts. And I'm assuming that you're not going to do this yourself necessarily. You might outsource it. And this will be around $1,500. It could cost more, it could cost less. Certainly, full-blown e-commerce type of website would cost a lot more. You need autoresponders. Now, you may or may not know what that is, but an autoresponder basically is a customer relationship management type of system which allows you to communicate with your customers and the people that you're serving via your business, and you need to do that. And then, of course, there are the ongoing marketing, whether they be social media, paid traffic, SEO, etc. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Now, 3,000 is an indicative figure. You could certainly spend a lot more, but you could also start off with a very small budget and start off that way. So it doesn't have to be that. But the critical thing here is that we need to understand what the major components that are required and what their realistic cost is. Okay? Now, the third thing that we set out to achieve today was, how do we stop worrying about the technology? How do we do that? This is a huge issue for people. Massive. Because, obviously, we've got this, what I've called the oceans of information, and you already heard about that. And clearly, that gets in the way, you know. I would invite you to go into Google and have a look at online marketing. You're going to get hundreds of millions of responses from Google, and it's a bewildering sea of, you know, information and so on. You could spend the next year wading through all that information, trying to make sense of it, right? An avalanche of technology, basically. And it's not letting on. It's just keeping, it's just getting bigger and bigger. It's just a sheer number of choices. And of course, it's overwhelming. And it is forever evolving. So whatever it was that we had today, tomorrow will be something different. Okay? So, well, how do we stop worrying about it then? Well, here's the key. Here's the thing, right? Technology changes really, really, really quickly. Now, I have actually been in technology for something like 20 to 30 years. So I have actually seen the rise of technology from the very simple old days to what we've got today. And I'm not just talking about the technology which the big end of town uses, but I'm talking about the technology that you and I use, you know, whether it's your smartphone, whether it's your social media, and so on and so forth. Now, if you're actually trying to get onto the online business, on the online world, then this is going to be something that you need to do something about. And here's the thing. Whatever you do, you're still going to need a shop front, right? So in the brick and mortars example, of course, you need an actual physical store on Main Street, but here you still need a website. So regardless of the underlying technology, the concept and the idea of a website is still there, right? In whatever form. It will still need to be promoted. And of course, you still need to be able to provide all those products and services that are your business. In other words, you still need to fulfill for your customers. So here's the secret. You don't actually have to be an expert at everything. Now, let's just think about that for a second. What that actually means is that if you were to look at all of the things that that you need to do, and there are so many of them, it will come down to a choice of, do I do it myself, or do I get somebody else to do it? Do I know everything, and do I school myself up on how to use Facebook, how to promote my business via Facebook or some other social media, how to build, you know, a website that's going to be compliant with all the rules that Google has, and it will rank and it will get me business and so on and so forth. You actually need to know all of that. And I'm saying, no, you don't. You don't have to be an expert at everything. There's a second secret. You actually need a plan to outsource the technology. Okay? So, the first secret is you don't have to be the expert. The second thing is what you need to do is plan to be able to outsource the technology. And it is not as complicated as it seems. It is certainly a lot simpler than trying to do everything yourself. And here's the biggest secret of all. You are the architect of your business, not necessarily the builder. Okay, what do I mean by that? You're the person, you're the person at the center of this business because it is your passion. You see, you have a vision, you have a mission, right? You've already articulated that, right? Now you see what your business looks like and you can articulate that. But you don't actually have to go and, build and put the bricks on top of each other and do the wiring and I'm using the analogy here of building a house, right? You know what your house wants to, you know what you want your house to look like, right? But you don't have to build it, right? It has to conform to your requirements, okay? So 3 things there. You don't need to be the expert. You need the plan to outsource the technology. And you are the architect, not the builder. Okay. So, what happens next? Now, you've seen the blueprint, and I've shown you the detail, but of course everybody's different because you're at different points in your entrepreneurial journey. So, let me make a proposal to you here. Now, and I will say this, and this is not hype, it is a unique, and it is a very limited invitation, and you'll see why in a second. What I'm offering here is a live, as in person-to-person communication, free conversation with me over a period of 45 minutes, in which time this is what we would do. Firstly, we would identify your biggest problem that you're currently facing in terms of trying to turn your passion into a profitable online business. Now, let me be clear here. You could be at any point in time in terms of you could be somebody who is just starting. You could be somebody who has started but is failing, and I don't like to use that word, but it's somebody who's really struggling with the things that we talked about. You're struggling with the technology, right? You're struggling to actually find a clear path to go forward, right? And these things are setting you back, are holding you back. So that's one thing. So we look at what is the biggest problem that you have in terms and in the context of where you are at this point in time. Now, I will then tell you exactly how to solve it. Okay? And I'm going to give you a step-by-step plan that you can take away to get you there. Now, fair warning, you have to qualify for this session. And why am I getting you to qualify rather than just simply offering you, here you go, buy this course or buy this training or do this or do that? Why am I doing this? Because of this. I'm only working with people that are serious about building their passion-centered business. I am passionate about my business. I am doing what I'm passionate about. I understand what it is. I've come from a perspective of having spent a long time doing things that have actually helped me in terms of learning, but they weren't the things that I actually love to do. Now, this means that you've got to have a desire, an unwavering commitment to succeed. So, I can invite you to fill out this short survey, and you submit it together with, and you can choose a date and time. When I say choose, there are slots that you can choose from to have this conversation. If we find that there is a fit, then I'll reply to you to confirm the session booking, and we'll go from there. How does that sound? Okay? Now, all you have to do is, at the end of this training, another page will come up, which will allow you to confirm that you're actually interested. If you're not, that's it. That you can take this away, and I wish you all the best. But if you are, then on that page you'll be able to tell me at a high level where you're at in your journey, A, and B, it will then take you to a page where you have the ability to select a time slot where I'm available for this 45-minute conversation, and you'll be able to you'll need to tell me your Skype ID. So I have all these conversations using Skype, A, because it's free for you. So even if you don't have it, getting Skype is free. B, because it allows us to be able to share screens, and I can help you out, and it's a lot better, and we can even have a video conference. So it's face to face. So that's what's next. Okay, so over to you. You've had a chance to look at this training. You've seen what I can offer. I can take you further, but it is up to you, and you need to, really show that you are committed and you have this unwavering commitment to succeed, and then we can take it further. Okay, so having said that, thank you so much for spending the last 38 minutes with me, and I hope you really got something out of it. Once again, this is David Burgos from the Freedompreneur Project signing off, and I hope we'll be able to talk person to person so that we can take your passion further and create that online business. Thank you so much. God bless.